Hello and welcome to Independent Agents Talk Shop. I'm your host, Doug Coombs, Chief Marketing Officer at SIAA. Today's episode is Branding a Family Business, and I would like to introduce my guests, Christine Bailey, Chief Executive Officer, and Mark Bailey, President of Bailey Family Insurance, located in Springfield, Illinois. If you'd like to learn more about the agency after today's discussion, please visit them at baileyfamilyinsurance.com. And I would like to mention that they recently received, Mark and Christine, the Springfield Business Journal's 40 Under 40 designation. And that's a pretty big award for folks who are so young. So what I want to get to is that a full disclosure here that Christine and Mark, as co-owners of Bailey Family Insurance, are members or are a member agency of SIAA. So Christine and Mark, welcome and thanks for joining me.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having us.
Yes,
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Great. So as we proceed today, I'll leave it to you two to figure out who's going to respond, or if you both respond, however you want to do it. Works for all of us. And so here we go. I have the advantage over most of our listeners of having seen you participate in some online events previously. So I was hoping you'd spend a little time talking about the rather interesting background on how Bailey Family Insurance got started.
Well, first off, again, thanks so much for having us. This is truly an honor. But I mean, when you say kind of how it started, wasn't everybody just born to be in insurance? Isn't that how it always starts? But no, I guess just like anybody else, I stumbled my way into insurance. So I got out of the Marine Corps in 2010, and I was actually at a soccer game, and one of the dads came up to me and said, "Well, hey, what are you doing now?" And I said, "Well, I plan to bartend and finish up school. What else?" And he said, "Well, have you ever thought about insurance?" And I said, "Well, I think my mom still pays for it. That's about all I know." And so it turns out he was actually at the time the president for the North Carolina and South Carolina claims region for Nationwide. So I started my career as a frontline adjuster, small home auto stuff, then ended up going to bodily injury, attorney representation things. And then shortly thereafter, about 2013, I was called by the same gentleman. At that point, he had moved to Horace Mann to head up their entire claims operation. He asked me if Mark, do you want to come back to the good old Midwest? I said, not a chance. But either way, I made my way back and I started up a total loss operation there. I think it was about a year or so after that. I met my beautiful wife during that time, and about a year into it, State Farm recruited me. So I, did a little stint with State Farm, I like to say. We were actually getting ready to open up our own agency in a small town around Springfield, Illinois. And it just got to the point where, that it was, you better spend the $5,000 a month on mailers. And, Mark, it's not a family business. It's just the Mark Bailey show. And that wasn't what we had always, focused and set out to do and really wanted for our life. So that's when we, took a step back, prayed a little bit, thought a little bit, and we decided to go independent. And that's where, Christine came to the show.
Yeah, so as Mark mentioned, we met in 2013, and I was actually living in Chicago at the time. I'm from Springfield, but was living up there and was in digital media. We did the long distance thing for a while, finally moved back here to Springfield, and we talked about actually opening all sorts of various businesses. And since he was in insurance and State Farm recruited him to open an agency, we started to kind of look at that. And then kind of like he mentioned at the last minute, we just had even friends and family that were having issues being insured there. And we just, like Mark mentioned, putting just his name up as a State Farm, we were trying to actually brand ourselves as the Bailey Family Agency. And so we decided to go independent. We took to the internet, did some research, and ended up just getting completely so lucky that our SIAA agent, SIAA, which she's actually out of St. Louis, VIAA, that's our territory. She just happened to be in town for a conference. We got to meet that very next day over lunch, and she just told us all about getting involved with SIAA, and we just fell in love with the whole concept and being able to really brand ourselves. And my background has always been that marketing and advertising. And so I had to kind of learn insurance when we first opened, but I knew that what I really wanted to do was market my own small business. That's currently what I was doing with the digital media. And actually, when I moved back to Springfield, I was working at the local radio station and helping clients kind of, build their brands. And I thought, well, I want to be able to do this for my own family business. And so that's when Mark and I opened Bailey Family Insurance at the beginning of 2017. So it's been 3.5 years, and that's a little background on us, how we got started.
Wow, that's excellent. And what I noticed as you were talking about how you kind of brought both your backgrounds together here to establish your insurance agency, one of the things that I find rather cool, if you will, being a marketing guy myself, is that as you were talking about, you had the marketing skills, not necessarily the insurance skills, but it's a nice transferable skill, that marketing, right? I mean, in terms of knowing what you need to use for media and systems and that sort of thing, it's probably worked very well bringing that to the picture as part of the agency.
Absolutely, because like you said, a lot of times you kind of are looking for that same marketing plan and can kind of use it in really any industry. So then the fun began of learning insurance.
So following up on that, as I recall, you folks do quite a bit in terms of staying in contact with your community and your clients from a technology perspective. And by that, I mean, using social media, a texting system, video, the use of a CRM, which is, customer relationship management system, all of which I would view as critical to your brand. Do you mind talking for a little bit about how you utilize these technologies and any others that I've missed to support and promote your agency brand?
Well, as my wife always says, we like to mix the old with the new. Right, we are, very tech savvy. That's something we always, wanted to be. We wanted to be mobile, right? We wanted to make sure, our agency, held a value that was, a lot higher than the agencies that are still in paper files. That being said, our brand is everything. Kind of what we always say is really what you see is what you get. It's not so much that we're different on, our personal Facebook page than we are on our business Facebook page. We always tell people, everybody's saying, well, it's easier for you guys because you're, a family business and that's how you can brand it. It's no, that's not accurate. You just really find your niche. And then you try to be an expert in it, or everybody has something that makes them unique. I always just say, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get out in front of the camera, learn a new thing, whether it's, Facebook, Instagram. But to caveat on that, it's the systems and processes that we have set in place in our agency that has really made us successful, not really standalone marketing. I think COVID itself had the biggest impact on our agency so far. I mean, where you see agencies across the country, struggling and, either hiding in fear or shutting down their offices, where we weren't ever ready for 100% go remote. Right. But we always wanted to make sure that, if we wanted to head off on vacation or if one of our employees needed to work from home because of a sick child, that we'd have the capability. But
and when we first opened, we actually won SIAA's Agency of the Future, which was really cool. And basically what that was kind of based off of was just how we did have that client portal on our website. We did have that chat feature on our website. Our phone number does receive and send text messages. And in addition, so with the social media and just kind of using that, we just always use that small video or short video to try to get our messages out. So it's not so much, long, lengthy articles you have to read. We're just dropping quick tips on a Tuesday. We're featuring some of our commercial clients in our small business spotlights on a Thursday, and just trying to get messages out that way.
We're just really trying to start the conversation. We get a lot of requests via our Facebook Messenger. And so we're able to, upload an ID card if somebody is, in need. I mean, we get messages to our office Facebook page all the time. Hey, can I get an ID card? Or, hey, how do we start a quote? And what we're able to do is just send out a link that I made out of a Gravity form from our website. And they fill it out. It goes right into my CRM, and it starts the process. It's there and waiting for one of my, producers just to knock it out. They get a notification via email, text. Hey, new lead came in. It starts to roll, and then then we can set up into an automation sequence. So we really tried to refine. We took a step back and figured out what the client process is, right? From the moment we come into their life via social media or via radio, right? Or however avenue, if we saw them out in at an event. That's why we always say old with the new. We wanted to take the client process and make sure that we weren't leaving anybody out, and then we can touch them all the way through, the fifth, sixth year they've been a client with us.
That's excellent.
You mentioned the CRM, and we did actually just buy into agency Zoom during the pandemic, and so it's just been amazing that we can put them into the funnel and kind of work through that process. If they don't convert, then they end up getting into the smart cycle, so we're always staying in front of them. But something too, like a lot of our clients, if they don't even come into the office and they were able to bind, over the phone and email, we are able to go ahead and send out that welcome email with a link to a video saying hi and introductions of the whole team, so at least they're getting that personal touch. And you'll just be surprised. I mean, literally everything we send out's got a video attached to it, because we do want to make sure that we are showing them like, hey, we're real people. We're here just trying to take care of you. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because everywhere Mark and I go, they're like, hey, we feel like we know you, or even, hey, you're our agent, because we haven't listened yet.
It's key for retention. I mean, we're sitting here 3+ years, and we're still batting a 98% retention ratio. And it's just from we feel by staying in front of them and keeping real, it just makes it a little bit harder to leave us.
That's great. That really is. A couple of things that you've said that I just want to follow up on real quickly. One is, first of all, confirming your approach of the quick hits, the quick messaging. You don't need something really long and drawn out in order to grab folks' attention or to stay in contact with them. And I will quickly relate a story from SIAA's perspective. We looked at going into the world of publishing our own magazine, to be honest with you, and after a period of time of viewing what was already out there and how people are actually consuming their content, I made the decision that we're not going to go down that path. Instead, we'll do a quick hit newsletter on a monthly basis with some good content, short, just quick information, real information, meaning some kind of value added for the consumer of that content. And we also include a couple of videos on it as well, for the same kind of reasons that you're talking about. We're real, and people prefer to consume their content in different ways. So I just think it's great to hear that you're out there as a family-owned business, as an independent agent, taking that same approach and seeing some success with it. And that's awesome.
That's actually, Doug, exactly what we're doing for our newsletter. So January hit on life insurance, and February personal articles policy, and so on. Each monthly, we send out a newsletter to all of our clients and to all of our lender friends and realtor friends, and we just call it the BFI Quick Tip, or January's BFI Quick Tip at life insurance. And then we put a little blurb in there, something to read, something to capture their attention, and then say learn more and click the video link.
And then it's just us, kind of explaining it. And you're exactly right. I mean, by having it in Word, right? Your typical blog post, but then also having a video, I'm trying to capture two completely different demographics. At that point, you got to keep it short and sweet. I mean, you see the long, drawn out emails that some agents send, and going into 8 million points of detail. Nobody reads that. Nobody has time anymore.
And we're also housing that video on our website, so then if they click it, then they are being driven back to our website, which is just helping with the ed drinking there.
Absolutely. Excellent. It's great to hear that. We do the same thing with IA Today, and it works very well. So the other part that you were talking about that I wanted to kind of dig into a little bit is that old and new approach, meaning that you're using technology, but it sounds like you're doing some of the tried and true things that have been around for a while.
We always have said that we're a mix of the old and the new. the old, because we would like nothing more for the clients that want to come on in and sit down and have a chat and let Mark just nerd out and those coverage pages or, policy language. He will do so. He'll dive in, and we've got a beautiful office. So nothing more than really just diving in and being there for them. But then new, because we really do understand that you can call a person multiple times throughout the week and they might not answer, but you send them a quick text message and they're going to respond right away. And like Mark said, I mean, I don't know how many people will tag us on Facebook. When there's the recommendations out there, we get tagged. And so we were able to hurry up and just send them a message or just comment back, hey, call us for a quote. And so just being able to have that digital element is super key. And so we just kind of say that we like to meet them, and communicate with them on their terms. So however, which way that they want to communicate.
Well, and then you can they're not my favorite, right? But you can still find us at events, right? Or, community events, your trade shows, where that's almost a lost art. Yeah, I just don't think that I see not even necessarily insurance agents, but a lot of business owners in general are starting to shy away from that. I think it's all online. But as you know, as a marketer, it takes multiple touches from multiple different avenues to complete a buying cycle. So we're still playing that old game of, hey, we'll spend a couple $100s or whatnot on radio a year. So I'm hitting you for the listeners that are still on radio and, not listening to their Amazon music. And the people that are, getting out on those nicer days and, going to a live event, we'll set up a booth and we'll sit there and chit chat with them for a while. It may not be a 100% conversion, or I might not see 100% ROI on every single one of those, but it's hard to track because we're still completing the buying cycle. They're saying we see you everywhere.
Yeah, and it's so funny because the funny part about that with Mark is he'll always say, even if the event is kind of a bust, hey, we still took a bunch of pictures, we posted them on our social media for all the people that didn't show up. Hey, they still think it looked like a real large event that you were out there getting in front of people. And one other thing I will mention with the radio is we did purchase a jingle. So we do have the Bailey Family Insurance. We have like a 30-second jingle, and we've got a little donut like that with the tagline. We're able to put that as our hold music when they call. And it's also in the bed of like all of my videos that are out there on the internet as well. And so it's so funny because people will say that, like, we got hit up everywhere. We heard your jingle, and then we called you, and then your videos.
I probably hear that we hear that more. It's not necessarily a complaint. I like to laugh about it. They're like, dude, if I hear your jingle one more time, I can't get it out of my head. And I'm like, perfect, money well spent.
It is. That's a success. Absolutely. It's funny, like that you're just singing music as far as I'm concerned right now, because one of the things that Christine mentioned that is, as a marketer, is it's so true that communicating with people in the means or by the means through which they want to be communicated, right? So your presence of being everywhere and utilizing multiple channels is so spot on. It's I think folks could really benefit from your experience on that front. And it's
actually something too that we make sure that we put in all of the renewal emails is when we're asking them questions and changes and that sort of thing. We say, do you want to set up an in-person or over the phone conversation? Are you content or are you happy with your current, service? And so that way, once the renewal does come out and they do call, and if they say anything, it's like, hey, it said right here, you didn't even want to have a conversation. You responded to us this way. And so it kind of does help with those, I don't want to say needy, but almost like needy clients that you'll find out right then and there that they do want to have that conversation, and you're going to get ahead of that and be there for them the way that they want you to be.
It's almost like customer segmentation. I know when I was at State Farm, they hit on that a lot, and it kind of just teaches us how to market towards that specific demographic. I mean, we've got a ton of work to do still in segmenting our book of business, but I think just like you've heard before, data is now king. And the more we know about our certain client and these certain demographics, the better retention, the better conversion, and so forth. I mean, it's not just about insurance. This is a true business.
Yeah, you're right. And I want to come back to that in just a minute in terms of the analytics. But before we do, can I just ask you about your experience in terms of video software? You do quite a bit of video. Is there a particular video system that you have found that works particularly well for you? Or are you just creating it from scratch and then editing it in certain software? How's that working for you?
A great question, and kind of funny that you asked that. We actually just did a presentation at the last big conference at SIAA, our master agency, that was all about using short video on social media. And so we just laid it right there. We've got a presentation that we could share with you guys and all the links and things, but we just use our iPhone for the video.
Yeah.
And we
Kiss it. I mean, keep it simple, stupid, right? We are not, that big of technology buffs. I can't tell you how many 4-letter words you're going to hear around here when I'm trying to play with this mic or trying to learn a new editing software.
Yeah, you guys want to talk about microphones, please give Mark a call because
oh my gosh, it'll make you go nuts.
We just buy those little lapel mics, 2 of them, so that way when we're interviewing someone or if we're talking, there's usually the 2 of us. Those just came straight from Amazon. We've got on all of our videos, if you check out our Bailey Family Insurance Facebook page, you'll see the videos. They all have like an intro and an exit, which is almost like an animated logo. And then at the end, like our contact page. Those actually just came from Fiverr. We had a gentleman that made them for us for extremely cheap. So again, I could share that seller with you. And then we just have the Adobe Premiere, which Mark will dive in and do many of them because it's rather simple. But
after you learn it, it's rather simple. After you get a little tutorial, keep it simple. Nobody's got time to watch all the the fade ins, fade outs, and you could spend weeks on editing it, but ultimately you're just trying to get a view. If you don't keep it less than 3 minutes anyway, nobody's watching it. And so we just, like I said earlier, get comfortable being uncomfortable, get in front of that camera with your one tripod, your iPhone, and then you can buy literally, like she said, an attached lapel mic for $15. Then once you get fancy from there, you can buy a detached one for $60. And then once you get tired of that one, we just bought one for about $200 just because we do it every single day, and the other one wore out. It just
and also, up run. We just use the tripod, so we just put the phone up there on the tripod.
I'm literally using my mother's tripod from her 1990 camcorder. So
if you look at our videos from even like a year ago, we didn't even have the jingle implemented or the beginning or the end. We were just literally throwing videos up there. We would do a lot of the go lives because we do a lot of giveaways and different things like that. But full transparency, Mark is able to do some of the simple stuff, but some of the bigger, heavier lifting type of videos, we do use a Made You Look video marketing service where we've got a video editor that will help with those larger ones. And then I also will give a plug for anybody listening. If you've got, a great video marketer out in your area, use them for the bigger timeless videos. We have a Cubs Cardinals video that we had a professional do, and we share it each year when baseball is getting started. And then every time the Cubs and Cardinals play one another. And it really is like our timeless video that we're proud we spent money on. But what we were doing at that time was we were spending money on just our monthly updates or our Tip Tuesdays. And we're like, well, this is silly because this is stuff we could be doing ourselves.
Awesome. That's great. It's great. And it's nice that you're really, you're telling people that it's not rocket science. And at the same time, if you are a little bit uncomfortable with it, get over it and go ahead and give it a shot. So that's
that. And literally we're telling everybody, go to our Bailey Family Insurance Facebook page, go to the beginning of our videos and watch me as stiff as a board in a suit reading a script, and you could see my eyes moving the entire time. And so just know that everybody started somewhere. And so nobody ever got in front of the camera and it was extremely comfortable. I mean, if you are, you're probably not in insurance at that point. And so, just get out there and do it.
Good stuff. Okay, so thank you for that. Let's circle back around for a minute, if we could, regarding any analytics or information that you're currently looking at as a result of utilizing some of the technologies that you are. And by that, what I'm trying to get at is, are there specific analytics that you're reviewing that would help you determine, how and what to promote, or are you still working down that path, and how is that going?
Well, really, so, we all know agency management systems are just, well, they're a headache and they're a nightmare. Depending on which one you have, you can say yours does, everything but drive a car, but are you utilizing it fully? And so we utilize EasyLinks right now. Forever and a day, the reporting software was off. And so we had to track it, our closing ratios, our lapse cans, our marketing efforts. So we track every single person that comes into the office. I want to know exactly where you heard from us, right? So I can track my ROI. And so lately we've actually jumped over to Agency Zoom. Just during COVID, right? Because I needed a way to figure out what was going on in a 360 view of my office. I'm very type A when it comes to that. I need to have, it took me a long time to kind of let the reins go on my agency, but now I literally can control everything from my mobile app. So I know my cost per acquisition. I know my cost per lead. I know my closing ratio per lead. I know where I'm getting the best ROI from each marketing effort. I can literally dial down any part of my business, in and out. And I would not have been able to do that, without, integrating my agency management system and now my CRM. And so it's been, a lifesaver. And I'm a firm believer that, if you do not know your numbers, hire somebody to help you, because you cannot, continue to buy new software, to hire, to advance your business if you do not know your numbers in and out. Not only that, when it may come time for a sale, right? The more you know about that book of business, the more profitable you can be, or even going to get lines of credit. You can't talk to a bank without, making your book look extremely valuable.
Gotcha.
And as far as one of the analytics that I love when I'm looking at Agency Zoom is I love that we can see how many emails were opened. So like if I do send out like a big mass email to a whole leads list, then I can see 60% of those were open, which I think is a very awesome open rate. So I like that tool. And as far as when you said looking for certain things to promote, I will say that like specifically right now, we've got a carrier that's great with photographers and with hairstylists. And so that's something right now that we did. We found those leads lists, we've uploaded them, and we're kind of targeting them right now. And so you can, kind of set that up however you want to in your agency Zoom and send those out. And then if we don't hear back from them, we just put them in the smart cycle. And now that we're staying in front of them once a month for 6 months, and it's everything, just value proposition. So everything of the value of the independent agent, all the awards and accolades that we've won. This is what you're missing out on. And, we're really community focused. And just, different things like that we're not really selling, and we might actually be driving them back to our social media. We might try to drive them back to the website, but it really is just more like value propositions and informational to just stay in front of them.
Wow. Okay. So a couple of really good things happening there. And I have to ask, that 60% open rate that you happened to mention, was that to your existing clients or was that to prospects?
Prospects.
Holy wow. 60% is an incredible open rate. That's awesome. And I'll bet you some of that do you think some of that has to do with the brand awareness to where you're sending?
Specifically, this one was actually to photographers. And so our commercial lines producer came up with a really awesome tagline that said, pair this with the perfect shot. And then when he opened it up, it was just a beautiful infographic that was very short and sweet, not a lot to read, very visually appealing, and just kind of says, let us do the heavy lifting. Like you're the expert in photography, we're the expert in this. Let's get you a quick free quote. And I really do think that just being able to open that and see it and the catchy tagline really helped with that.
And for our automation, so we've got clients, the moment you get in our pipeline, you're on automation sequence. And I'm telling you, before I was always really hesitant to do those like catchy, marketing emails like, hey, what happened to you? Did you get eaten by an alligator, or, did you fall off the planet? Like people, if they see that in the subject line, I always like, ooh, that's a little too much. But I'm telling you, that's when we get a response from somebody that has ghosted us for 2 weeks. It's these, random subject lines, and then they open it. You're like, hey, just kidding, and you get to the point. But that you got to figure out something catchy to get them to open the email. Because I'm literally, probably since the time we've been on this podcast, I probably have 50, spammed emails, and I'm not opening any one unless something catches my eye.
Right. Right, and that's a very good and valid point. This is good stuff. I will say also that the infographics continue to be a nice way to convey a message, and I think people enjoy reading them. To be honest with you,
well, because you can put that on any platform as well. When it's an infographic, you can Instagram, you can throw it on your Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. LinkedIn, whatever works, right? So it's So now you mentioned value proposition a couple of times. So I'm wondering, to your minds, do you have a unique selling proposition, like one kernel that's there that you want to kind of thread throughout whatever you're doing in terms of promotion and communication?
Well, just completely digital. Everything is saved on the cloud. Everything is on my OneDrive. So the next person could literally come in here and take it over and keep going. We try not to make it, we try to brand everything, BFI. We try not to do like a ton of, the family stuff as much anymore because, we want to market. We want our business to be valuable. Do we ever plan to sell? No. But we know that, we're going towards the future.
Well, and right now, especially through the coronavirus, a lot of people don't want to go into places. So the fact that we can tell them, here, just complete your information on this quick link, or give it to me over the phone, and then I'll email you a quote for something to look over. And then from there, we can hop on the phone and you can DocuSign. You can pay over the phone. You don't even have to come in here. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's like a huge selling point right now. And the text platform, I mean, we hear it constantly. The people are like, wow, I can just shoot you a picture of the VIN via text. We don't have to sit here and go back and forth about was that a B or a D. And the other thing that I just want to say that I think is a unique selling proposition for us is our mission is loving the community through protection and education. And maybe it's Mark's claims background. Maybe it's some of our producers, just total passion for helping people, making sure that they feel like they understand what they're buying. But that's just truly what we're all about, is really educating them along the way.
You're getting that fast-paced, new era feel. But I mean, I'm not slapping a policy together. I'm not giving you state minimum stuff. We're going over it because I always say that, hey, look, in the beginning, my biggest thing for giving you this policy is that when that bad day comes, I want it to be a great conversation. It's going to be the worst day of your life, but I want to be able to say, hey, we talked about this. We're ready. I'm going to get this taken care of. We're going to put your life back together. And so we know that, having that mix of, the old and the new is just making our agency more valuable, because literally somebody can I can log into any one of my programs right now from my phone anywhere and run a quote for you, get your documents and so on. And so the next person that would ever want to take this over, our successor, then I would just have to give them my username and passwords.
A good approach. So, I have to say, I actually had more questions for you folks, but we're over our allotted time. So, what I would like to ask is if I were to have another podcast and invite you to come back with me, would you consider that?
Oh, always.
Anytime
we can ever get our message out, or just invite people to connect with us. What you see, like we said, what you see is what you get. We're an open book. We honestly believe that, the independent channel, the whole IAO thing is better together. We need to spread the word. We need to help, overcome the whole stigma of, oh, what do you mean? It's not, we don't hear you, you're MetLife. We don't hear Travelers because they don't spend, multi-billions of dollars a year in advertising. We want to form together. We want to share our ideas because we don't know it all. And everything that we've learned from others. So we want to give back.
Terrific. I want to thank you for sharing with our listeners, Christine and Mark. And so everybody understand that our guests today have been Christine Bailey and Mark Bailey of Bailey Family Insurance in Springfield, Illinois. They are members of SIAA, the largest alliance of independent insurance agencies in the United States. And thanks to all of you for listening to this episode of Insurance Agents Talk Shop. I'm Doug Coombs, Chief Marketing Officer at SIAA, and I hope you join us next time. To learn more about SIAA, please visit SIAA.com. Thanks again, and have a great one.
Bailey Family Insurance.